Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and I thought I would give you an update on what's going on in the Gulf, the so-called Iran war. It seems to have become an endless war with Washington bereft of ideas, unwilling to agree to the diplomatic terms that it had already agreed to, and unable to impact the outcome with its brute military force. The United States has spent 12 nights bombarding Iran, on some nights even up to 5-7 hours. The US is now using some very sophisticated weapons. B-1 bombers, strategic supersonic bombers have also been pressed into service, but Iran seems to be just immovable. There is absolutely no impact. In fact, the Qataris proposed a 10-day truce so they could talk about the ceasefire, but the Iranians refused that too. So it appears that Donald Trump is deeply frustrated. His comments and his threats are becoming are basically escalating. He is threatening to hit civilian targets, which is essentially he's promising to commit war crimes against Iran. He says he's going to hit bridges and power plants for every ship that Iran attacks. So we are facing a very interesting scenario that the war seems to have kind of reached an equilibrium where U.S. out of its frustration that it's unable to open the Strait of Hormuz attacks Iran, and then Iran responds and retaliates. But there is something different. The intensity of U.S. Attacks on Iran are increasing, both in rhetoric as well as in ammunition. But the Iranian responses are also getting more and more sophisticated and deadly. In its most recent attack on Jordan, 3 American service person, 1 woman and 2 men died, and over 100 were injured by Iranian retaliatory attacks. It's also hitting civilian targets, hitting a desalination plant, I think, in Kuwait, and they have also hit 2 oil tankers, this time near Bab al Mandab, the Saudi oil tankers, and these were hit by Houthis. So Iranian proxies have also now joined the battle. So we are looking at a very disastrous. If you notice this map, which was published by the New York Times, you can see that Iranian responses are so widespread, and now we are learning more and more as to how sophisticated and impactful Iran's counterattacks are. A Reuters report says that in March, when Iran retaliated, it was able to hit 4 CIA targets. 2 of them were revealed. One was in eastern Iraq, and one was in a compound inside the Saudi embassy, which shows that Iran not only has highly sophisticated intel about American assets in the region, but not only that, Iran has the capacity to hit the targets that it wants to hit. So in spite of all the bravado that's coming from Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump that we have devastated Iran, we have destroyed their military capabilities, they will not be even able to produce weapons, their weapons have been destroyed, their navy has been destroyed, their air force has been destroyed, but the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, and now it appears so will the Red Sea, and access to the alternative pathways through which at least Saudi Arabia was sending oil. Just before I started this stream, I learned that 2 Chinese super tankers were leaving Saudi Arabia and heading towards Bab al Mandab. It will be very interesting to see if the Iranians if the Houthis let the Chinese super tankers go through. They have already turned back 4 or 5 Saudi oil tankers, and they have hit 2, and one of them has caught fire. So effectively, you can say that Iran now controls both the choke points of Bab al Mandab as well as the Strait of Hormuz. And that is reflected in the price of oil. Let me give you the latest. The latest price of oil at the moment is $101.61. So in the beginning of July, when both countries were adhering to the memorandum of understanding and the Strait of Hormuz was open, oil price had gone down to $72. Now it has gone up from $72 to up to $102. So we are looking at a $30 spike. And as I keep reminding people, if you remember, that the cost of the refining has also gone up significantly. So there is this whole thing called crack spread. So you take 3 barrels of crude oil and convert it into 2 barrels of refined petroleum and 1 barrel of diesel, and this 3-to-1 formula usually before the war used to cost about 23-25 dollars, which means about $8 per barrel, and now it's costs over 69 or 70. So we are looking at about $24 per barrel. So if it is 102, then you can say effectively that at the pump it's $125 per barrel, and in the United States the oil prices have already exceeded $4, and in some places even more and approaching 5. So there's a lot of pressure on America. Today, the U.S. Congress also passed a resolution or whatever, I don't know what to call it because Donald Trump is not going to adhere to it. A resolution basically says this war has to stop, and 4 Republicans essentially voted with Donald Trump. So I think the vote was 214 to 208. So effectively, if Donald Trump is engaging in war, it is going to be illegal by American Constitution and American law. It's also illegal by international law. There is no UN, shall we say, legitimacy that Donald Trump has in this invasion and attack on Iran. Does Donald Trump have any options? So the theory is that we keep hitting Iran to such an extent that the pain becomes unbearable, and then they surrender and open the Strait of Hormuz or basically beg for mercy. That doesn't seem to be happening. What is most likely to happen is that the global economy is going to go in a recession. If this war continues in up to October, we are in the month of July. So if this thing goes on for 2.5 more months, then what is probably going to happen is that the Republican Party is going to lose in a terrible way come midterm, and it's quite possible that Donald Trump will probably be, shall we say, Donald Trump will be in many ways impeached many times over. And the second thing is that, but for such a prolonged period, if the price of oil remains above $100, then it's going to really impact many economies that depend on the Gulf oil. It is quite possible that there will be alternative routes that might be carved out. Apparently, the Iraqis are thinking of using the land route to send their oil. The Iranians themselves are using trains as a way to send oil to China. So yes, there will be alternatives, but it will simply add to the cost and it will add to the time. So we are looking at a huge impact. Imagine, some people estimate that every major economy will lose its GDP growth rate by 1 or 2%, and many developed economies are growing at less than 2%. So you can see that many economies could potentially be in recession as a result of this. And if Donald Trump continues to get frustrated, and we really don't know what else he could do. He is kind of stuck in this whole position where he cannot accept the most logical outcome, which is to, okay, let's make peace, give Iran a few things and open the Strait of Hormuz and get out of there. You have already caused enough damage to Iran that it's not going to threaten, the only people in the world that matter today is Israel, right? The only country that matters is Israel. Only Israel's security matters. And so, yeah, I don't think Iran is in a position right now to destroy Israel. So America can get out of this and, restore some kind of, I guess, what apply some band-aid to the global economy. But I think many countries are going to suffer as a direct result of Donald Trump's war. The US will also suffer. There is no doubt about it. We are losing billions of dollars. Pete Hexas says it already has cost us about $37 billion. He's asking for $67 billion more. I think he's not speaking truly. I think the US has already spent a lot more than $37 billion on this war. And Unfortunately, the Republican controlled Congress has abdicated its constitutional responsibilities of checks and balances. Rather than checking the president, they seem to have become cheerleaders. And so, unfortunately, given the spineless members of parliament that we have on both sides of the aisle, Donald Trump is basically acting like a dictator, a foolish dictator who does not even listen to his own intelligence agencies or to his own military and to his own generals. So that is where we are right now. The oil price is at $101 at this moment as I speak, $101.60, and it is only going to go up. And if Donald Trump continues with his assault on Iran and the Iranians successfully blockade the Red Sea also along with the Strait of Hormuz. So imagine this, before this war, Iran had 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium, which was not really enriched enough to make a bomb. And it had Hezbollah and it had the Houthis. And the Strait of Hormuz was open and the Red Sea was open. So Donald Trump now goes in there and attacks Iran. The regime remains. The Islamic Republic of Iran continues to survive. It continues to have the enriched uranium. There has been no change in its uranium or its nuclear capabilities. Not only that, but today the Strait of Hormuz as well as the Red Sea are blocked. We are far worse off today than we were in January of this year. It's going to take a lot of effort to get back to where we were in January. Forget about all the massive and imaginary goals that Donald Trump had with regards to Iran. So this is where we are. Donald Trump is deeply frustrated, and he has realized that he has failed in a very profound way, and he does not know how to cope. And you know what? The Pentagon and the military, they are great. This is a great military with great capabilities, but right now they have no ideas because they have been tasked with a mission which was mission impossible. So anyway, I thought I'll give you a brief update. I'll continue to keep an eye if there are any new developments. We have learned new things about how Iran has attacked successfully CIA targets, which shows that it is receiving help from Russia, at least in terms of intelligence as well as targeting. And it appears that Iran's capacity to retaliate and be effective has improved in this war. And the claim that the Trump administration is making is that they have degraded Iran's capacity of war is not really clear at all. So anyway, thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share it with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host Muqtadar Khan. Take care and thank you for all your nice comments. I really appreciate that. Bye.